This next passage tells about a defining moment in my life and explains how I actually got started with this. And this happened during a summertime picnic along the seashore, what I refer to as Down the Rocks, which is actually down the Clark Shell Road right along this stretch. And it goes, then a defining moment, and I'm staring out, I'm right at the edge of the water, I'm 11 years old, just staring out at the water, watching another lobsterman get hauled traps. Then a defining moment in my life occurred in the summer of 1959 during a family picnic down the rocks. The sight of a nearby skiff lobsterman hand hauling a wooden lobster trap drew me to the water's edge. Fascinated, I watched him pull a trap over the rail, open the door, measure and peg the lobsters, and rebait the trap. Right then and there, I said to myself, that's something I want to do for a living. And here I am. What a strange occurrence. I don't know if anybody else in the audience had a similar experience about something they wanted to do. There was a little voice, and I just remember saying to myself, right then and there, that's something I want to do.
Was it a nice warm day?
Oh, this was a summer day. This was a summer day. We were having a picnic along the seashore. Yeah, it was a beautiful day. And then there's another chapter in here, an inshore lobsterman's year-end review. And I break it down into 4 seasons, and I tell about some of the things that I experience out there, especially the harvages. And autumn's harvages are plentiful along the shoreline. By early October, now picture me, I'm out in the boat looking towards the shore. The foliage fires of sumac, woodbine, maple, and tupelo blaze just up from the shore. Sunshine blizzards of their crimson and gold leaves often rage during blustery days. Just picture those leaves going everywhere and the sunlight shining through those. That's that. Another chapter is about rare personal experiences. And every lobsterman during his career encounters certain things. And you have all these rare personal experiences. So I've included some of the top ones. And this here, you'll see a drawing, this particular scene. But I was lobstering off of Andrews Point, and this was in June. And there had just been a huge storm passed by offshore, and a huge groundswell was rolling in. Now I'm there hauling about 50 feet from shore. I thought I was far enough off and safe. Dead low tide, hauling traps, and the stern of my boat is pointed seaward towards the swells. And all of a sudden I looked up, and there was a huge swell, about 15-foot high, starting to crest. And here I am, while working on one 4-foot trawl about 200 feet from the shore, with my 18-foot skiff stern pointing seaward. I suddenly turned around in complete horror as a 20-foot high cresting swell. It was big. The steep sea had grounded out on an underwater hump, made worse by the extremely low tide. Reflex told me to gun me outboard, swing the boat around, and head into the monstrous sea. There was no time. The swell surfboarded me towards the barnacle-covered shoreline at about a 45-degree angle. I held onto the steering wheel for dear life, only to have the energy-packed swell first spin the skiff broadside and then flip it with a wall of water. Imagine just getting spun sideways, and all of a sudden there's that wall of water coming. You are powerless. The next thing I remember was a thud on the top of my head as the portside railing struck and drove me down into the 55-degree water. Luckily, my feet Didn't drown out. But I came up in the Bobby Skiff's water-filled cockpit. Now the skiff is overturned, and I come up inside and trapped inside there. Lost the trap rope stored in the boat, tangled my feet. Even worse, the grayish darkness, bubbles, and turbulence there destroyed my sense of direction. Completely disoriented. Which way is up? Or down? I have to breathe. I have to get out of here. I said, saying that to myself. I remember thinking, soon a faint inner voice emanating from the heart said, this is the end. What a strange sensation that was. You have to read. Lobster tidbits. This chapter is all about, lobster biology, classification. It's all about the lobster. And the American lobster, which can grow over 3 feet long and weigh over 40 pounds, has survived the test of time so far, even withstanding the fishing pressure and the advanced gear of recent times. The lobster is an animal which, like most other living things, possesses a gene pool with unique characteristics, exhibits specific behaviors, occupies a special niche in the marine ecosystem, and has a prime purpose to help balance marine nature and also to be food for others in the pyramid of life, and to survive, grow, and propagate its species. That covers it pretty well. Scientists and fishermen agree we know a lot about lobsters, but there's a lot we don't know about them. And this one lobsterman from Gloucester, Mark Ray, said, if the lobsters ever get figured out, they will be in trouble. Think about it. And then this next chapter is about the harvesting of lobsters and the big changes in the industry. And this passage is from The Lobsterman's Job. The lobsterman's job is to hunt down lobsters, trap them and bring them up from the bottom, and then enter these into the marketplace. The lobstermen are like the lions of the Serengeti Plains in East Africa. Has anybody had the opportunity to go there? Both predators seasonally follow their prey. In the case of the lions, their main prey is the wildebeest. Since lobstermen, most of the time, can't see down to the bottom from the surface, they can only guess what goes on down there. Most of the time, this guessing works as to where the lobsters are. And that's what we do so often, looking down, all the time, wondering, where are they moving, where are they, all the time. Then, in this last paragraph, more or less, tells about the power of the northeast storm. And many of you have seen the northeast and some of the effects from the shoreline. But this is how it actually affects the traps. What happens out there. The wave actions of the northeast often go down deep, sometimes so strong that the stern action literally brings up to the surface, brings the bottom up to the surface, as seen by the brownish black water. These storms can also destroy marine and human life, flood and damage the coast, and even alter the intertidal zone. These commonly moisture-laden, unpredictable storm systems have plenty of water space off the east coast to crank up sometimes hurricane-force onshore winds. The big northeasters pile up water at shore that turns low tides into high tides, creates storm surges, and riles up the ocean's top and bottom. The storms use these ingredients and the regular ebbing and flowing tides to weaponize the weight and motion of water, which both pummels exposed shoreline with bowling ball impact and scours the bottom with raging rivers. These rivers, especially in the strong tide areas, sweep away the traps. Both singles and trawls, bouncing many along the bottom and carrying others off the bottom. And the pots keep moving until either the wind abates or they get snagged, often against a rocky outcropping or another hung-down trap. In the end result, they'll form these huge bunches. But many of you have probably seen what happens in New Hampshire and Maine with rivers after heavy rains. The rivers will swell and that water starts going faster and faster. Same type thing happens along the shoreline after a lengthy northeaster. That's how powerful that moving water is, between the weight and then the water in motion. And when I first started, I naively thought that a lobster trap with 4 bricks in it would be heavy and would stay in the bottom. No way. Okay, now what I'm going to do is just show about 40 different images that show different aspects of the lobster fishery and the lobster itself. And after that, I have some questions and answers. This time, please. You can watch right there. Yeah. One of the most commonly asked questions that I get, and I'm sure all the other lobstermen, how can you tell a male lobster from a female lobster? Right? That's a nice word. This one here is a male lobster. Okay. Well, yeah. This one is a female. Second one, yeah. But anyway, the female, you can tell just by looking down, the female's features are much, much smaller. The claws are more pointed and not as stout as those of the male. And same thing with the body right here, this part. Everything is just thinner and longer on the female. And also the tail is much, much wider. And the reason for that is female lobster has that wide tail to protect the eggs underneath what she carries. Male tail is very tapered. Notice that right away. So the male has large claws, very stout, large claws, stout body, and the tail is very, very tapered. Height. Okay, that's the female, yeah. And then you can flip the lobster over and look at the first pair of appendages in the abdomen. And the males are long and stiff. These are called gonopodia. Gonopodia, you see there's a pair, it's long and very stiff. And then the female's version, these are much smaller, they're soft and feathery. So that's the other dead giveaway. And here are some freshly extruded lobster eggs. You can tell the ones that have just been cast to the undersides of the lobster's tail are black. We call these lobsters the black eggers. And this usually happens in August, late summer, early fall. And the female will carry these for about another 8 to 9 months before they ripen, and the eggs will hatch, and the larvae will float.